So what we have here is the third installment in the Arran Explorer series. I believe this one is called Kildonan and Pladda Island. This one comes in at 21 years old and cask strength of 50.4%.
So immediately I'm seeing slightly more of a reddish amber hue to it than the bright lustrous gold characters of a lot of the older Arrans that I've tried.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like treacle, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
in terms of the colour. What do you think that sort of suggests in terms of casks?
I'd suggest, I wouldn't be surprised if someone told me that there's a little bit of a red wine influence in there, but certainly I'm going to guess that there's some sherry influence in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that colour's telltale sherry. There is a slight, like almost pinky hue, so you're right, it could be wine, could potentially be port, but I think the best way to find out about these things is
give it a try.
Yeah, getting stuck in. I'm wondering if there's power of suggestion, but I do find that quite winey.
Yeah.
Nice sort of like red berry fruits coming through. Not too overpowering, just very nice and sort of delicate. So, yeah, more sort of red wine kind of aroma. But kind of summery at the same time. I can't put like a flavour characteristic on that, but there's something about it that's making me think of summertime.
Sort of red currants and maybe cranberries.
Yeah, like not quite strawberries and cream, but it's that sort of ballpark.
Yeah, certainly still quite fresh for 21 years.
Absolutely, I'd agree.
Not getting huge amounts of kind of the iconic Arran distillery characters, but still very fruity and very fresh.
So, give this a try.
It a whirl.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Cheers. Now, what I found remarkable about that is, for a whiskey that strength, 50.4%, so smooth. Mm-hmm. I think probably of whiskies at that strength, it's probably one of the smoothest I've tried. You almost can't tell how strong that is.
It's reminiscent of like the early batches of a Buna and such, where you're just, if someone didn't tell you how strong it was, you wouldn't know, and you probably drank far too much of it without realising.
Yeah, it could turn into a dangerous dram very quickly. You better not be leaving us with the full bottle on the table. Like.
Now that I've had it in the glass a little bit, I'm getting some slightly sulphurous elements, which to me suggests a bit of sherry influence.
Yeah, that's usually a telltale sign of a sherry cask. You know, some people aren't a big fan of that. It's quite a divisive flavour, I find, but I quite enjoy it.
It can definitely be overpowering, but in moderation, it can add a nice level of complexity to what can otherwise be an overly sweet or fruity profile.
Yeah, I'd say on the palate, this one isn't really pulling too much in one way or the other. For me, it's a little bit sweet. You're getting some of those red currant flavours coming through from the nose, but there is a spiciness on the palate, but it's still remarkably smooth going down for the finish. Yeah, it's a remarkable balance to it.
I wouldn't say the finish is exceptionally long, but it's certainly not a short finish. And it's got a nice drying characteristic. Like you said, spices, maybe some baking spice and cinnamon in there. But yeah, overall a really pleasant dram.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying with a little bit of water. Yeah, shall we?
So I'm guessing at that strength, it's going to take a reasonable amount of water. So I'll be quite brave with this.
We'll do a contrast and compare then. I won't add too much water, but just a little bit.
First impressions?
I think the sulphur note that you mentioned without water, I'm getting more of that now that I've added water. Again, it's not off-putting. It's not making me want to throw the whiskey down the drain, but it's certainly different. I think the nose first time was an absolute winner for me, and that sulphur note As I said, it's not off-putting, but it's sort of disrupted the balance a little bit.
And it's not, when I say sulphur, I think in this case I'm not thinking like the classic rotten egg smell. It's more like struck matches and fireworks smoke, that sort of character for me.
Mm-hmm. I think some people refer to it as like a gunpowdery kind of element, but
having not shot many guns, we'll have to refer to friends on the other side of the Atlantic for that one, or indeed in the hunting community.
But actually, it's kind of gone the other way for the palate. Once I've added a little bit of water, it's like a sort of currant jam almost. It's really, really pleasant. So I'm quite glad it's still holding up after adding water for me.
For me, the palate's now a lot. Obviously, I added a fair amount of water. It's obviously very soft on the palate now, but it's taken on a sort of creamy character to it that wasn't there before. As I said, I felt it was quite drying on the palate before, but now it's quite soft and very mellow now.
Yeah, so I didn't add as much water, so it's not mellowed out to that extent, but I can definitely see that progression from the amount of water that I added. It's gone from not sharp fruits, but as I said, it's gone from more fresh fruits to a preserve, a jam kind of flavour for me. And the finish is still remarkable, still very smooth, those fruits just sitting nice and lingering. Yeah, I think all in all, a wonderful dram. Take it away from me before I sneak it into my bag and go home with it.